Most families and businesses will experience financial ups and downs, but depending on your understanding of money, some may experience more financial burdens. You don't have to be a financial expert, but it is your responsibility to educate and improve your financial literacy. Finance is one of the most important elements of our well-being as it influences other elements with major effects. Learning to live within your financial means, developing financial plans, and getting rid of bad habits decreases chances of mental stress, which affects both you mentally and physically. Later, we're going to meet with some professionals to help us improve our financial literacy and give us some financial tips for success. But first, let's be buddy. We all have a buddy. Through bad habits and poor decisions, they always need to borrow some money.
Rent or this concert I want to go to. Rent, concert. You know what? I'll just borrow it like I always do. Yeah, that concert was dope.
I know, right? She's my favorite.
Look, you want something to drink?
Yes.
Alright, so I'll get you situated. Just have a seat right here, get comfortable.
Okay.
Alright.
Cheers. So what was your favorite part of the concert?
Man, that band was dope.
Yeah, the musicians were amazing.
So, can I ask you a favor?
Sure, anything.
Can I borrow $800?
$800?
That's a lot.
I paid for dinner, I paid for drinks, and I paid for my ticket, and now you're asking me for money?
That's a lot.
My friends were right about you. You call me when you get your finances together.
So I met you like last year sometime. You helped me set up Empire 527, and you gave me some tips on the best entity to use for setting up my business.
Yes.
So you work with a lot of entrepreneurs and regular individuals, correct?
Absolutely. You know, at our office, we actually specialize in small businesses. We're an accounting firm, but each firm has their level of specialty and what they desire to focus on or become the subject matter experts on. And for us, it's the small and mid-sized businesses. And so our goal is to help them from A to Z. We're talking about entity setup, meaning setting up the business, what's the best business structure, all the way through retirement. And so we specialize in the small and mid-sized business.
And that's good because right now we at a time where having a job is good, but also looking for other streams of income is important. So setting up businesses for people who have passion about certain things, or if they're interested in certain things, they come and talk to somebody like you to help them set that up.
Absolutely, absolutely. The one thing that I see a lot of happening is I see entrepreneurs with ideas and desires and goals, and what they need is just someone to help take it from their brain and help them make it happen from a systematic standpoint. It's just when people think accounting, they just think numbers, but we position ourselves as business managers.
Right.
So we're helping not just put together profit and losses and financials, all of that. That is necessary, very important, but the key is business management.
Right.
What are the systems that help with cash flow and everything necessary to keep the business going? So we help these entrepreneurs out in more than just one way.
And that was very helpful to me because you helped me decide on the best entity for me. Because one entity may not be good for your type of business. So one business may benefit from S Corp, another business may benefit from LLC or whatever. Yes.
And that's a real hot button. In fact, I always say when I'm informing somebody about the best business structure, they always say, "What's the best business structure?" There is no necessary best structure.
Right.
It's the one that's best for you.
Right.
Each structure has pros and cons to it, whether you're sole proprietor, LLC, S corporation, C corp, you know it. But each structure has pros and cons, so it's not necessarily the best structure per se, but it's the one that's right for you.
So what are some of the pitfalls that you see with entrepreneurs over the years you've been working with them?
A lot of times, the one pitfall, just one of many, is I see business owners come in with the wrong structure to begin with. And a lot of times, for example, most entrepreneurs, they're self-employed, maybe it's a side business, it's not their regular 9 to 5, you know, whatever they do on the side, maybe they're a barber or artist of some sort, and it's not full-time.
Right.
And so when they set up this side business or whatever, they set it up wrong in the beginning. They operate maybe as a sole proprietor. They have some income coming in, but they're paying more taxes than necessary. So we have to help them readjust and create S corporations, things like that. So to me, one major pitfall is failing to get it right in the beginning. You set it up right in the beginning, then it helps everything else that happens after that.
And that's important. So, you know, having these ideas and I want to, you know, get this business going because I want to make this money. I want to help these people. But it's all important to talk to the professionals so that you can set it up and so that you can start off right so you are getting those benefits. So that's really good.
Yeah.
So for people who are not in business owners or entrepreneurs yet, but just regular people who have a job, what are some of the benefits from coming to an accountant?
Yeah. You know, a lot of times, individuals, okay, we're setting the business owners aside for a quick second. We're just talking about individuals when it comes to taxes, retirement planning, things of that nature. A lot of times individuals neglect the necessity of an expert, okay, because we want to get what we need for the lowest cost possible. And so sometimes that means getting some software or going, you know, to a retail place where you can just walk in and it's cheaper, etc. Well, having a professional that you can use as your trusted advisor is extremely important because this is continuous support throughout the entire year. I don't know how many times my clients get IRS letters in the mail. They're saying, hey, you know, I got this letter, my taxes had this issue, what should I do? And I'm there with continuous support outside of tax season because, you know, tax season is January primarily through April. Well, what about May through December and you're getting letters here or you need to call the IRS for this issue, etc. You need a trusted advisor who's able to work as the mediator between you and whatever agent. So individuals kind of neglect the actual support part of the process. You know, sometimes that support is way more valuable than spending the less money.
It's peace of mind.
Yeah.
It's peace of mind to have that because we do get those letters in the mail. We be like, man, what should I do? And but you need to know the exact what that means because sometimes you don't know what it means and then we can get a professional to help. So I use the example as personal trainers. Anybody can go to the gym and try to work out, but if you get a personal trainer, they're going to show you how to eat better. They're going to show you the specifics of what you need to do to get better. So you are our financial personal trainer.
I might steal that one time. I'll take that. Yeah, I like it. You know, and a lot of times, you know, it's about having that relationship and that accountability. You know, because if you have someone who you make a commitment to, hey, I need to improve my tax position, so this is what I'm going to do, and we create that plan together, now you become accountable to me. And so now I can help manage you through it. So when you come to my office next tax season, hey, we looking at results versus if you're doing it on your own or with someone who is not really engaged in the process, then, you know. Yeah.
And a professional is there to help you to overcome certain pitfalls or to avoid those things.
Yes.
And also you guys stay up to date with the new laws and the changes. So we're not going to know what's going on. So you didn't know it. So if you have a certain entity or whatever, and then something comes up, you can say, hey, you know, this coming up next year, so you may want to do this. So I also understand that as well.
And you know, that's a really good point. You know, I have clients who don't come to me every year. They'll come every 3 years. And here's why. They're actually pretty fluent in doing their own taxes and managing their own cash system. However, ever so often, maybe every other year or every 3 years or whatever, they want to come and allow me to do it so that they can make sure they're using the best practices possible. I got clients who use software 1 year, then maybe the next year, and then after that they'll come to me, let me prepare it, or let me look at their financial plan, and we can review what they've done and make adjustments there. So even the experts or DIYers can come here and get help.
So from your perspective, what are some financial tips to help some of our viewers?
Number one tip, you have to have a budget, okay? Essentially, your budget is your roadmap to your personal financial plan. And so if you don't have a budget, then essentially you're just scattered and you're subject to so many spontaneous decisions, spending, overspending, and things like that that don't really get you to your final destination. So the budget is the roadmap. If you use it right, there are people who are excellent at putting a budget in place, but they don't have the discipline to operate it. And that's not really an effective budget. An effective budget is not only a plan in place, but it's also the tactics on how you're going to execute. So it's saying, hey, my goal is to save, $5,000 this year. Okay, and my tactic is going to be, every time I get paid, $100 automatically comes out that I don't see, I don't touch. It automatically comes out and goes into that account. Or from now on, I'm gonna subscribe to this application, and every time I spend money, my change goes into this invest. So it's not just a plan, but it's the tactics that help you execute that plan.
The mindset. So like we get habits of spending certain things and not saving. We get the habits of doing things, and makes it easier for us to fall behind in our finances, or not even look at our finances. Sometimes I hear people say, man, I guess I went and bought these shoes. I'm not even gonna look at my bank account. Why? You gotta look at your bank account.
And one of the things I see people do all the time, and I've done this, you put a budget in place and then you don't go back to it. Well, no, you should be updating your budget throughout the year, because again, it's your roadmap. We don't start on a journey to California from where we are now and don't continuously look at our GPS or our roadmap to know if we're on track.
Good point.
You always want to save first. Okay, so what I always advise individuals to do is to build savings into the budget. I know that's very elementary, that's 101, but honestly, you would be shocked at how many people don't build the actual savings into the budget number. Budgeting should be automatic. It should be out of sight, out of mind, because savings should be automatic, out of sight, out of mind, because the savings piece is actually what helps build discipline. And let me explain why. When you think about savings, okay, savings creates money that you cannot touch. And so if there's I get $100 for my paycheck, and I'm gonna save 10, well, I only can spend 90. So I'm limited to that 90. But let's say I boost my savings to 20. Now I'm limited to 80. So it creates discipline. So if you have savings in place, you automatically help discipline yourself.
And if you know how much you spend every month, you know what my food budget is going to be. I know how my gas budget is going to be. I went one day a couple years ago. I went through my year of my checking account, and I see how much I spent on fast food. Oh my God.
Mine too.
Man, I was just like, I couldn't imagine that bill. I'm like, what if I just cooked at home? I would say if I budgeted better,
$2,500 a year extra.
Man, easy. I could have saved money, ate better, and got this gut out of it.
One last thing I'd say about the budgeting piece before we move on. One of the things that I found is very effective at helping individuals successfully manage their budget is simply automating the budget. And what I mean by automating, I mean using technology. There are several apps. Everybody has their phone in their hand all day, checking Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever their social media site of choice is. Well, there are several apps out there that individuals can download on their phone and use to input their budget and connect it to their bank account. automate the spending input and all of that, and then manage their budget right from their phone. And what that does is that creates consistency, and it takes the budget and brings it to the forefront of daily life. You know, we don't want to become so rigid when it comes to budgeting. However, if we have goals that we're trying to hit and places that we're trying to get to, we got to kind of dig in. And so one way that I found is effective in doing that is getting an app. There's many of them. Get an app, get something that's automated or on your phone that you can constantly update and follow, 2 or 3 times a week. And you'll see.
And that's a good point, because we are used to all the apps on our phone. So it's easy to do that. And it makes it easier for Christmas time, makes it easier for birthdays and trips, because we have a budget already. So we're not trying to save big chunks at a time. We saving throughout the year. Even sometimes a couple of years for bigger purchases for homes, or we want to buy cars. And even my next car I want to buy cash for. I don't want to finance it. So I'm planning for that, so that's one of my goals. So I think it's important to find goals that are important to you. The more important those goals are, the more you're gonna be a magnet to you. So you're gonna want to save those things, because you understand when you made mistakes and you had to recover. You don't want to make those mistakes again.
Period. So, absolutely. So here at Imperial Business Solutions, we have 2 ways that we engage our clients. We have maintenance engagements and we have advisory engagements, okay? When it comes to maintenance, whether you're an entrepreneur, small business owner, etc., or an individual who doesn't own a business, when it comes to maintenance, that's month to month or quarter to quarter, or consistent engagement where we're preparing financial reports. We are updating your goals, updating your budget on a consistent month to month or some frequent basis. Now, when it comes to our advisory services, what we do for our clients is we engage them in a 1 to 3 time coaching system. And what that is we'll meet the first time, and our goal would be to analyze the current situation. Look at your situation. If you're small business owners, review your books, review your tax position, review your entity structure. After we review, then what we would do is go back and formulate a plan to help enhance your systems, whether it's adding different strategies on your tax position. Maybe we need to restructure your corporation, etc. There's a whole host of ways we can advise you, but ultimately it's going to be 1 to 3 sessions, or however long it takes for us to take your business or take your financial situation and put the pieces together cohesively so that you're able to attain your goals. I meet with business owners all the time who say, I'm a mess, I need help. I owe taxes, I'm late with my filings, I need to put payroll in place, etc., etc., etc.
What up, buddy?
Big Mike, what up, fool?
How much you need, man?
Well, I gotta need some money, man. I'm just calling, check on my boy, see how he doing.
Oh, really? Well, I was about to go to the gym, man. You trying to go hoop?
No, I need to borrow some money though.
Dude, you always gotta borrow some money.
I mean, I promise I'll pay you back next Friday, bro.
Man, your next Fridays are always like 7
Fridays. When you get your stuff together, man?
I promise. Rent is due today, man.
How much is your rent?
$800.
How much are you short?
Man, about $750.
$750?
Look, if I lend you this money, I want to see at least a 700 credit score, or I'm charging you 24% interest after next Friday.
Man, what?
Is that my dad on the phone?
Hey, man. You got a little money on you?
Dude, I'm a kid.
Fine. With understanding the power of a dollar. You can make $1,000 a week, $1,000 a month, but it's truly what you do with that money. You know, understanding your bills, understanding interest, understanding compound interest is so important in our community. We want to talk about your iPhone, your iWatch, what you got on, what you're wearing, what car you riding in, but we're not willing to talk about credit and talk about banking and money like we should in our community.
And we should. And not only is, I see money as a tool, but money also, you have to have the right mindset with money. Because you can have a poor mindset and be poor because of your mindset. But like you said, you know, understanding how money works and also understanding the different ways that you can use money as tools, from stocks and like of course real estate and things like that. What are some of the best practices that can you share with individuals that probably are not taking advantage of?
All right, the number one thing, depending on the career path you have, you know, understanding retirement, understanding that we possibly have 30 to 40 years to work, and of those 30 to 40 years, what are you doing with the money that you're making? So first thing first, understanding your company's retirement plan. I was fortunate enough, I turned 21 at a smaller institution. My branch manager pulled me over to the side and said, hey kid, you don't have any bills, you're living with your parents, you need to put money away because Social Security may not be there for you.
It's not going to be on.
So he told me, give 10% to God and give 10% to yourself. And when I did that, I never looked back. That's been my number one thing. Instead of doing a company's match of 6%, I jumped out in the deep end and said I'm doing 10%. And so 10% of my check is going to this 401k. The average financial market, the average rate of return is 7%. So if I'm getting 7% of putting my money away, plus the company is matching, I'm winning the game.
Yeah, already.
But I would have conversation with my peers that look like you and I would say, hey, you gotta do your 401k. No, I need all of my money. So I'll do 1%. I'll do 2%. I'll do 3%. So you care about having a bigger paycheck now than about your retirement when you're 65 years old. And for me, I've always played the long game in life. I never played the get rich quick scheme. I never wanted to have some hustle that happened overnight or anything. I wanted to earn my money. I think we all appreciate it more when it's something that you've done versus being handed to you. So yeah, we got these new shoes that's coming out, but can you afford it 3 times? Can you pay for it 3 times? If you cannot, then you don't need to buy that item.
And that's you bring up a good point when it comes to overall success. One of the 5 principles of success is discipline.
Correct.
And you learned earlier just by discipline, putting 10%. Because once you start doing that early, it gets easier. You don't see it.
Correct. Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, you don't see it. But also, again, like I said, the mindset. Some people may say, "Well, I need all my money. I'll put 1%," but they don't. You think it's a lack of education as far as the long run?
Absolutely. We've seen our parents for years work a job, pay bills, work a job, pay bills. But the kids in Harvard live by a different code. Invent a job and you'll live forever. So here it is, we see our parents going to the current exchange to cash a check. How much is that being taken out? They're paying their bills. So I can't even honestly say I remember my grandmother and my mother really going to the bank, even though I know they did have an account. But did they have a 30-minute conversation with the banker, with the financial advisor? Probably not.
No.
You know, at the end of the day, it's all about income. At the big banks we're going, do you have 50,000? Do you have 100,000 or 200,000? Because those are the clients we want to talk to. But I am totally opposite. I believe in helping. I believe in giving back. So the first thing first is when you open up a checking and savings account at my location, we talk to you about credit. How's your credit on the scale of 1 to 10? If it's a 1, we need the help with a secure card. Because I want to change your mentality. And for me, it was easy reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad, reading Next Door Millionaire. I have 2 beautiful girls, a wife I've been married 11 years. It's about their future. It's not about mine. So everything I do is for them. But it all starts here. It's a daily grind. 2020 has been the year of unprecedented things that's been going on. Nobody saw this coming. So what's in your account to keep you going? How do you stay motivated? How do you stay disciplined? Through the midst of adversity, chaos, it's having this. But for us, we have to find something that keeps us going. If this would be a simple goal, I want to save $1,000. Okay. These are the things you're going to do. You're going to save $50 off of each and every check you get. Every chance you want to, you're going to pay your bills up front. You got to pay all your bills, and you live off 30%. But you have to have that mentality of, I know I want to go out to the club. I know I want to buy a new outfit. I know I want to do X, Y, and Z. Me, I'm the opposite. I'm not going to buy anything fresh. I'm going to put my clothes in the cleaners and they going to look fresh. So it's little things like that.
Yeah.
You know, here it is. I went to the Bahamas probably 7 years ago, and I was talking to a native there. And he said, Norrel, we worked so hard from January to December. But on Black Friday, we take empty luggage and go to Miami and do all of our shopping for the year. Can you imagine? Man, I want to buy this house. I want to buy this car. Okay, then you got to sacrifice.
Yeah.
Don't buy nothing for a complete year. But the necessities, of course.
It's the necessities. Yeah.
Why keep up with the Joneses? Man, he just got those Jordan Retros. I got to go get them too. No, you don't. Oh, he got that Gucci belt. I got to get that Gucci belt too. No, you don't. Oh, he got this Maserati. I need to keep up. No.
And those Joneses are adding debt.
Correct.
And like, you know, it's not as much money as you make, it's how much money you keep.
How much money you keep?
And you say again, not only is it discipline, but it's about preparation and planning. So if you plan, if you know, you said something about earlier about how to stay motivated, how to stay goal oriented. If you plan for what you want, if you want to buy a home, if you want to retire at 60 versus 65, if you want a vacation home, if you want to plan for college, no matter what you want to do, you plan these things out. And if you make a plan and stick to that plan, be disciplined with that, not buying certain things at a certain time, or learning to give 10% to charity, 10% to your 401k, and 10% to yourself. It was, I forget, the book I was reading, and they had it broken down to, like, you know, you break your finances down and you stick to it. And the more disciplined you are with anything helps. The more disciplined I am, you gain muscle by working out. The more disciplined you are with reading, you stimulate your mind. So the same thing with finance. I think, you know, you said about credit cards. Credit is so important. When I was a freshman in high school, freshman in college, credit cards, they got me.
Oh yeah. They sent it to you in the mail.
I was in a student union and signed up for everything for this free t-shirts that had 5 credit cards. Didn't know anything about credit because my parents didn't teach me about credit.
Did you have a job at the time when you got those credit cards?
I was an athlete.
Look at that. Me too. Me too at SIU. 2 credit cards. Yeah, I was working at McDonald's, but they didn't know that.
Nah, they didn't know. They just wanted to get able to sign because they know they already know.
And you think you pay the minimum balance, you okay? No, credit cards were designed to delay payment for 30 days. You put whatever you buying, let's say it's 4 tires. You need 4 brand new tires on your car. Okay, you bought the tires. Within 30 days, you need to pay it off in full. But what we do, we get paid. I put it on that card. Let me just send them $100. No, you gotta be disciplined. Pay off everything.
You giving them money.
But it could be habits in what we saw our parents do. She got paid, she put a little on the car note, a little on the cell phone bill, a little on the landline phone. No, we need to pay it off in full.
Like, money is a tool, credit cards is a tool. I try not to use credit cards only for emergency purposes.
Okay.
I don't try to use them to go out and use all of my buy food and this and that. No, I use those for emergency purposes, and then I pay them off. I learned that from my mistakes in college.
Correct.
So, you know, it's the mentality is so important because if we don't, like you said, we learn from our parents and how well their financial literacy were. If it wasn't the best, we make the same mistakes because we are learning from them, and then we're getting into debt and not understand how to get out of debt. I've seen people who go bankrupt a couple of times because they haven't learned.
Right.
They just go bankrupt to get rid of the debt, but they still have the same mentality and the same practices.
Correct. You haven't grown or developed with money and finances, right? So credit cards, I want to give you a different perspective that I've been exposed to the last few years dealing with the elite and affluent clients. So my perspective on credit cards was for big stuff, whether it be concert tickets, whether it be airlines, whether it be going on a cruise. You put it on there, it's no interest for 12 months. You take your time paying it off, it's just like layaway.
Right.
But the affluent use credit cards for everything because to them it's all about the miles, it's all about the points. So imagine paying your light bill, gas bill, everyday necessities with your credit card. You get paid, you pay it off. It's still coming from the same money anyway,
Right.
technically, but they just do it so well, they're so disciplined, every 30 days they paying it off, and all they doing is getting the points. So we're worried about, hey, I put the airlines on there, the cruise, I gotta pay it off before the interest hits me too big. And Best Buy is known for that. So they gave you this no interest credit card for 90 days or 120. You put it on there, but what happened? Life happens, you forgot. So now you could have been paying that TV twice or triple. So we have to be conscious of those credit cards. Just have a routine. And that's anything in life. Have a process for everything that you do. Whether that's cooking, whether that's paying credit cards, whether that's saving, you have to have a plan. And you execute from the plan, you don't deviate. If something happens that you weren't prepared for, COVID-19, you gotta step back, regroup, reassess the situation, and you still go back on target. A lot of weddings were planned for 2020.
Yeah.
What happens if you can't get your money back?
Yeah.
You have to reassess, regroup, and come back with a new strategy. Same thing happens in life. We're constantly evolving. If you had a hiccup with your credit card, you were late 30 days, don't panic. It's not the end of the world. At the end of the day, you'll get it back. You'll get your credit on path. But I care more about everybody becoming their own bank. So what is your magic number? Is it having $10,000 in the bank, $20,000 in the bank, $50,000? And once you obtain it, now what is your plan to do with it? Because you're not truly making money until you're making money when you sleep. Reading the book Next Door Millionaire, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I understand that if you buy a car brand new, as soon as you drive off the lot, it depreciates in value. We never want anything that's going to depreciate in value. We want assets over liabilities at any cost. So if that's you buying a 3-year older car, but the first owner took $30,000 off of that ticket price for you, then that's the best decision for you. But I understand. We want the Tesla. We want Nikola when it comes out, this heavy duty super truck that's electric. But you got to stay in your financial lane. I believe Kevin Hart said that. Stay in your financial lane. You may see your best friend doing this and doing that, but you don't know how their finances are truly being controlled. You don't even know what they tell you. Coming from the banker, I can see. And that's why I love banking. I'm true. It's in black and white. I'm not here to play games. I'm not here to sugarcoat anything. Your account was negative last month because you did X, Y, and Z. Now we could put a plan in action, whether that's you have $10,000 in your savings. Anytime your checking gets low, we will just sweep it over. Oh, no, I didn't know that. But I told you that at the account opening. See, we remember what we want to remember. That's why it's in fine print. Every corporation, it's always in fine print. You see these advertising on TV about cars, but they'll hit you with well-qualified buyers. Do you even know what a well-qualified buyer is? That's somebody with a credit score of 800 or better, making 100,000 or more. So you go to the dealership thinking you're going to get 0% financing, but your credit score is 580. You can barely get a house.
I appreciate the insight from that perspective, and you gave a lot of insight from overall success too, which it translates. Like you talking, I'm like when I tell people all the time, you always got to develop a process. Everything has a process. You think of the New England Patriots; they come in with they have a formula that works. You got no matter what player you put in. Of course, you got probably one of the goats in there. Right. But you can plug anybody in there because they have a process that works. McDonald's has a process.
Correct.
This place we here has a process how to deal with. So you get a process for yourself. You know what you want for your finances. You know what you want for your health. Once you define what those things are, and you talk about being motivated. Money doesn't make you happy. You completing goals makes you happy. You spending time with your individuals, or when you're defining what success is, defining what happiness to you, then once you define what you want and make a plan for that, Then the financial literacy pieces come in. What do I need to learn? What do I don't know about credit?
Right.
What do I know about stocks? What do I need to learn so I can make my financial goals? Because my kids' schooling goals and my personal goals from my home has to deal with finance.
Correct.
And my finance, I have to get more discipline. So if I'm not disciplined on a daily basis, I'm not going to be disciplined in my finances. So all these things go well hand in hand. I'm glad to hear you talk about that. But a lot of these examples do give us show us how important financial literacy is from no matter what perspective it is.
I'll pull somebody to the side. I'll talk to them about real estate. I'll talk to them about when I was 25 years old and my wife said we need to buy a house, and I told her I wasn't making $100,000 yet, so I didn't think I was ready. Even though my credit was in line, we were in line, I wasn't ready. But that was one of the best decisions I could have ever made in my life. It's just now I understand the flip side of that. So yes, you bought a house, but the house is now all on you and your wife to pay that mortgage.
It's a liability.
It's a liability. But imagine if I had bought a 2-flat and we lived in the high level, the second floor. We had a tenant on the first floor, and the mortgage is now not all on us, me and my wife, because now we have a tenant that contributes $1,000. So now I'm saving more money than just throwing money out for this house. So we save enough money, we go duplicate the process. You go buy another 2-unit. So now I got 2 tenants over here. I'm still staying where I'm at because I'm not ready to buy my big house for me and my wife's dreams yet. But that's just how the elite and the affluent see it. It's nothing wrong with having a 30-year mortgage. It's nothing wrong. But from my experience, what I've seen is 15-year mortgages. The mortgage is going to be a little higher. However, they're going to work their butts off to pay that 15-year mortgage off. And after it's paid in full, the home is worth $250,000, $350,000. They'll go to the bank and say, I want a home equity line of credit. The value is there. The home is paid in full. I can get $200,000 from the bank because of the value of the home at 3.75%. So now I can start my own business.
Yeah.
Or now I can go buy a property in Inglewood or on the west side of Chicago for $30,000 to $50,000, have somebody fix it up, flip it, and put a tenant in there, or flip the property. We can all do this.
And look at that. We don't have to worry about going to the government for certain things. If you start doing the right things you want early enough, and I've tried to find individuals young enough where we can't get time back.
Right.
You know, so I really want to encourage and engage the young folks so that they can make the better decisions that I didn't make, so they can invest in themselves. So you can use your home equity. You can make right investments so that you don't have to, when a pandemic comes, you're fine.
Correct.
You're fine.
Correct.
Again, it's all about planning and processing.
100%. And money brings comfort, but at the end of the day, we can all do better with our money. We can all do better health-wise. We can all do better on giving back. At the end of the day, each generation is supposed to get better. So every chance you get to have a conversation with somebody 10 years younger than you, 20 years younger than you, have that conversation. Nobody saw COVID coming. Nobody. Let's not get blindsided from something else again. But in the midst of this storm, in the midst of this adversity, how can we continue to get better each and every day? At the end of the day, in the midst of this COVID, being in banking, yes, I can talk about investments. Yes, I can talk about checking account. But you know what I've been talking about the most? Having beneficiaries in place on your savings account. Having beneficiaries in place on your 401k. Matter of fact, do you even have life insurance? Because all of these products go hand in hand.
Yes, they do.
You are supposed to protect yourself.
Yes.
In the event something happens. We have car insurance because we got to protect the Cadillac, we got to protect the Challenger, the Charger, the Benz. We have to.
Right.
But what about on your flesh? See, the thing I learned about life insurance, that is something that you pay for that you'll never ever benefit from. There has to be some strong love there because your family's going to benefit from that.
Yep.
So if you had a $500,000 policy, you owe $100,000 on your mortgage. Yes, your wife is going to cry, your kids are going to cry, but they don't have to worry about the house. They don't have to worry about I'm going to get kicked out. I'm going to lose my property. What are we going to do? All those things were planned, and you have a strategy in place, and now we can execute and keep building from that. This is what my father left for me, leaving a legacy. We don't talk about that enough. We need to.
Yeah.
We need to.
And that's one of the things that inspired me to start Power 527, because I want to leave a legacy.
I'm glad you did.
It's something that I want to inspire people to talk about elements of success, and I'll start working on entrepreneurs. But then it really my purpose started to shift to more of work with entrepreneurs, but also want to work with individuals when it comes to overall success, because the same principles apply for entrepreneurs apply for the individual.
100%. 100%.
So if entrepreneur can learn to become a better person, understand their purpose, understand how to live through their passion, develop the right strategies of success, they can be better entrepreneurs. And if anyone else will be better doctors, be better bankers, they'd be better mechanics, whatever it may be, they want to learn those things. And success drives happiness to a point, because you're dictating what you want and you creating what you want. The mind is so powerful. The mind can hinder us,
Correct.
or the mind can propel us to further. And one thing before we go to the next subject, happiness comes from finding your purpose and living that journey.
I agree.
It's not about money. I mean, but your purpose and creating those or completing those milestones, you feel accomplished by completing those things and doing something better. The purpose is when you respond to something bigger than yourself. Buy myself something is one thing. When I buy my son or buy someone else something, I feel better about that. So imagine if you could do something for a community. What are some mistakes you see people not utilizing or doing?
The biggest thing that I see people not utilizing is relationships. I'm an older millennial, but a lot of people nowadays just want to text. I want to chat with this person. But banking, money is an emotional thing. You have to develop a relationship, not just with the branch manager, but with the personal banker, with the financial advisor, with the home lending expert. And it's probably a 10-minute conversation. I've seen doctors come into the bank and they are an expert in their field of medicine and medical, but they have no idea about banking, right? They didn't go to school for banking. They didn't go to school for accounting. So you'll be surprised that our doctors that are taking care of us have $200,000 sitting in the bank, no beneficiaries, earning 0.10%. So they have a lot of money, but they're not making compound interest on their money like they should have, like they should be doing. So, quick conversation. Hey, I would love for you to open up a brokerage account. A brokerage account is going to be managed by a financial advisor. It's going to come with a slew of different products. We're not just going to focus on one simple stock or bond. We're going to put a strategy geared towards this person's risk tolerance, age, amount of money that they might have, and things of that nature. And I'll connect them with a financial advisor who is licensed. I'll explain to them everything they have going on, even outside of Citibank or where their account sits at, because they may have money at another bank. They might have an investment vehicle at another firm. We want to gather all of that data and have a strategic conversation around how we can help this individual. I'll see a client getting charged monthly service fees. That's another 5 to 10 minute conversation with your personal banker. Hey, can you explain to me why I'm getting charged service fees? Yes, you don't have direct deposit and you're not utilizing bill pay through our mobile app, but through our browser. Right. So one simple change. And how I operate, let me look at what's been going on the last 6 months, 12 months. I'll explain it to you thoroughly. I'll reverse some of these fees for you because at least we had a conversation. But going forward, I never want you back in the same spot because I told you exactly the reason why you're getting charged fees. Yeah. We'll see credit cards, people, staying close to the limit. So your limit is $1,000, but you owe $900. Experts say you need to stay at 30%. Norrel will tell you stay at 50. But at the end of the day, I don't want you to pay $100 every month on this credit card because of Barack Obama back when he was in office, credit card companies never had to disclose how long it'd take you to pay off this credit card if you paid the minimum balance. Why? Because it was a way for them to make more money.
Yep.
But President Obama forced the credit card companies to disclose how much money, if you pay the minimum, how long it'd take you to pay it off, 20-some years. But if you pay just an extra $50, you can pay this card off in 3 years. It's right there, but it's on us as the consumers to read that.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to your checking account, your 401k, your life insurance, credit cards, don't just rush. Don't rush. Take time. Go on YouTube, Google, pick up the phone and speak to somebody. Hey, why am I paying this and the balance not decreasing?
Mm-hmm.
They have to be honest with you. They can't sugarcoat it or lie.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be afraid to ask the questions. Don't be afraid to ask the tough questions about your finances.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, if you really wanted to buy something, you're going to ask, hey, how much this is, right?
Right.
And from Chicago, we don't pay full price for nothing, so we're going to always find a way to get it 10% or 20% off. But at the end of the day, the biggest mistake is not asking questions.
Yeah.
Just going on with the flow.
And I think one of the principles of success is relationships, which you said. And it's crazy how things just kind of relate. Committing yourself to understanding your finances, developing a plan, and go on and talk to someone, a professional. That's why it's so important to have a professional. We try to do things ourselves, and you can go get Quicken books and you know whatever this and that. But talk to professionals to learn how to use those things.
If you're dealing with something, you need to seek wise counsel. Maybe not your best friend, not your mom, not your dad, but you need a professional so that you can talk these things through and talk these things out. Your mentor, you guys don't have to text your mentor every day, speak to your mentor every day. Your mentor actually can be in a book. Your mentor actually can be a motivational speaker that you like to look at in the morning or in the evening or when you're going through a rough patch.
Mm-hmm.
So it's any arena or area you're trying to grow and develop a skill, look at someone that's doing that, that's having success doing it. And you don't have to copy everything they do, but just grab one idea and put that into what you do now.
Yep.
That's what you have to do.
Yep. You don't become a millionaire for the money. You become a millionaire because of who you become.
Mm-hmm.
And when you want to do better, you change certain things so you become better.
Correct.
And when you learn to talk to people, when you start to really get interest on things that's important, you become a different person. You're gonna hang around, your circle of friends are gonna change. You may add some friends in there that's gonna give you more input, better insight. But I believe talking to professionals, that's why I wanted to do this series, because I wanted to get professionals to get insight and best practices, some mistakes that we're doing, so that I can shed a light on this financial literacy, and amongst other things, so that we can build mastermind groups. I want to build groups where if there's individuals who want to get better in their finances and they decide they want to do some real estate, then you got a group that you can do it with.
Exactly.
If you want to get some people that need to work out, lose some weight, you got a group you can do that with. If you got people who want, whatever it is, we want to start bringing groups together, like-minded people that some person may have way more experience than you, but it don't matter, you're in a room with them now. So now you can start that journey becoming someone better, doing something different.
Best practices, and I just want to share with everybody really quick, is invest in your 401k. If you don't have a 401k, look at a Roth 401k, look at your 403bs, look at pensions, mind your bank account. What I mean by that is stop living paycheck to paycheck. I promise you, that rat race of living paycheck to paycheck, Friday to Friday, when you eliminate that, the sky's the limit what you can do next. Live less on than you make. It sounds so easy. I make 100,000. How can I only live on 70? That's 30,000 in reserves. 30,000 is just sitting. But that's some discipline that you have to own up to. And look at yourself in the mirror. It's all on you. You get one life to live. These choices that you make every day, it's on you. You may not see the effect of that a day later, a week later, a year later, But everything you do in this life, the decisions that you make, they're gonna add up. And it's gonna show.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, change your mentality, change your mindset, be disciplined. Health is wealth. And have a process for everything that you do.
So in Power 527, we got the 7 elements of well-being. These are things that we focus on that are meaningful to us, like our health, our finances, how we stay motivated. And the 5 elements of success that we touched on today impacts all of those. But staying with financial literacy, your attitude dictates your behavior. Your behavior, how you work with money, is going to dictate how much you got in the bank, your investing, your mental capacity of how much you're going to learn, educate yourself on finances. So, having a understanding of your attitude and your behaviors, looking at your bank account, looking at your bank statements each month for a year, seeing what can change your attitude. Like, I got to stop eating out all the time. So that's going to change your attitude. Discipline, we talked about discipline a lot today. But being disciplined on your spending, being disciplined on a lot of different things is going to dictate also, it's your financial health, I should say. Then accountability, we talked a little bit about it, but how can we always want to look at how we hold ourselves accountable? And when being successful in finances, you can hold yourself accountable by setting your goals and then evaluating those each week and see if you completed those or not. If you're in a negative every time, then you're not holding yourself accountable.
Correct.
One important element of accountability is an accountability partner. So anybody who is looking to change anything in their life, find an accountability partner that you trust and talk to, but also hold you accountable in that. And finances, especially if you have a spouse, would be part number one. Relationships, we talk about relationships. Your relationships are so important because it's not about, you can learn from other individuals, not just for yourself, but you also get inspired, you get motivated, and also you just get encouraged by other individuals. But as we learned today, you can learn more about talking to different professionals, about building relationships with professionals, and not just with financial literacy, but with other elements too. So if you're looking for college students, if you're looking to get in a career, go find some internships for free. Do it for free.
Exactly.
Build those relationships.
You have a lot of kids getting ready for school, right? And it's going to be a different school year with remote learning. So I think it's so key to develop those good habits now, because maybe you can't go up to your professor or see your TA and have that one-on-one time. You have to have the attitude, the discipline, the accountability, and have those relationships. If this is your first semester of college, if this is your first year of high school, if this is your 8th grade year in elementary and you're getting ready to go to high school. But I think relationships is so key. You need an accountability partner too, but you need someone that's going to be honest with you, keep it real with you, and take some of the good from them and put it into you, put it into your repertoire. One of my mentors, he lives by this A times E equals R formula. So the activity times your energy, your effectiveness equals the results. So if you're selling t-shirts and you have a lackluster of activity, you're never going to get to the results. But if you're engaged, you're enthusiastic, your activity is you're going to talk to 100 people a day, then I know eventually you'll get to the results, because it's simple math here. Maybe 90 people do not want your t-shirt, but those 10, they do.
And that goes to the last element of success, is excellence.
Absolutely.
So, doing everything excellence, you're going to get the effort, you're going to get the results back from the effort. So if you want to be a good entrepreneur, business person, the amount of effort you put into your product and your service is going to depend on what the customer is going to get back from that. The same thing, you put the excellence within your daily life. If you go to the gym and you just kind of half do it, you're not going to get the best results from it.
Well, then why even come? Why even show up? I graduated 16 years ago, but I still remember our motto: we strive for excellence.
we work together on a lot of events, supporting each other for various things, and we came together last year on the financial literacy piece. And you had some programs before we started and some you're working on now. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So I'm really, really excited about a program I got up and running last year called Money Makers at Fairmont School in Lockport. And that program was probably the most well-rounded in teaching kids about what money is, also how to invest it, and becoming their own business owner or entrepreneur. So kids, basically, they started from week one designing a logo, deciding what type of business it was they want to have. I even told them they should include some kind of, charity part to their business where they give a certain amount back to whoever or donate a certain amount of time or money or their product. So kids were very excited about this. That was one of the programs that I had called Money Makers. So like I said, it includes what money is about, investing, so stocks and bonds were discussed as well, and then finally the entrepreneurship piece where students created their own business.
So what were some of the things that you learned from them that you thought that was an overlying, not necessarily an issue, but something that was that the kids had a hard time learning, or they were learning from the first time?
Most of them had, their struggles were not with creating a business or understanding what any of the terms meant. It was actually just using the platform we were on and design, using the PowerPoint basically, or Google Slide, because a lot of them don't have, a class, so to speak. And so it's basically at a teacher's discretion how much or how little they use, these programs. So I had to teach them a little bit about creating slides and how to copy and paste things. But I found it to be amazing, some of the businesses that they developed. So there were students who wanted to focus on making jeans more affordable, because they say a lot of the jeans that they like cost too much, so they could never get them. So one of the things they like, we would change fashion so people could afford, the fancier looking jeans and whatnot. And they were going to donate some of these jeans, to different shelters and whatnot in the future once that business got up and running. So that was one that stood out. And I think the creativity and the knowledge that they gain about what money is and how it's a tool really changed my thoughts about how much 4th through 8th grader might know. And so while they hadn't heard about a few things, some of them had never written a check, but that's not a surprise. Right. It's 2020. A lot of people don't write checks anymore. So
that's one thing that it's important that on Power 527 when I teach is that it's okay to have a job, but like you said, having other streams of income is important, because we don't have the retirement plans that we had before. Now 401k and teacher retirements, things like that, but we don't have pensions, as most companies did back in the day. So finding the some elements of something you're passionate in or something you find purpose in, and find elements that you can utilize to make other streams of income. This is a great time in society where technology gives us opportunities and platforms to make money on a variety of things. So learning some things that you're interested in, things that you want to learn about, and finding ways to invest is one thing, but also finding something else that you can invest your time, which is passion projects, to make money. So you got your job, you got your passion project, and you're investing in certain things.
Yeah, and I think that it's a lot of go right now. Everybody's an entrepreneur, everybody has their own company, and who are we to say what company is going to be that next whatever it may be, right? But I think it's important with financial literacy that you have to have income to be able to invest, right? So
you have to have money to make money.
Yeah, so you can't invest if you're not employed, right? So sometimes, I began my educational career as a teacher, high school chemistry. I said, I'm gonna do this for 30 years. You get a pay increase every year. Summers are nice. I enjoy working with students. You get to go to football games and get school. It was a great job. And I was there for 5 years when I left. And I became an administrator. I'm like, okay, administrative job, good retirement, you can save money, you get that same steady paycheck. And then I began to think well, what if I created this thing and put my own price on it? Or what about this thing that you didn't learn when you were in school that is something you wish someone would have taught you? And so we could get into history, but we're talking about money now. But so those two things are really lacking. These topics are kind of vague for us growing up. And so I think it's important that my company kind of bridges the gaps in underserved communities when it comes to multiple topics. But our focus currently is financial literacy because, like I said, at a young age is when you learn your money skills, how to spend it, how to save it, what investing is, if you ever even heard of investing, right? But I witnessed, like, my father always crunching numbers. That's what I would call it. I used to write every transaction I made in my checkbook when, in that register, when it happened. Like, you know, and it was like I had this pre-programmed thing going on because of watching the people I was around. So students are in school all this time, right? And so if they're missing critical things that help them be better people when they get out of school, that's something that can be fixed by companies such as mine and other entities that do financial literacy programs.
And that's important, the mindset of knowing how to budget. So you were practicing writing things down, because one of the tips that we'll be discussing is minding your bank account.
Yes,
so when you're
yes.
able to focus, and some people, they get paid and they go and buy things and they like, I ain't want to look at my bank account, I don't want to look at it.
Yeah,
that's bad habits.
They actually they want it to be like, if it's denied, like, oh, all right, like they wouldn't be surprised, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna go get these Jordans, but I ain't gonna look at it. But no, you want to look at your bank account because you want a budget. So if you know that you're doing things that are contributing to that, you know, you shouldn't be doing, that's a red flag. And so you know what? No, I need to do that.
You gotta mind your own
habit.
bank account. I remember I was in a program called Jamski when I was 12. It was at Joliet Junior College, and they gave us a stipend. They had to, because I mean, they gave us money. You know, every so often they gave us a check for being in the program. And somehow I bounced the check when I was not even 16 yet. I think I was 12, somewhere in between there. And my mother made sure I never bounced the check again.
What'd she do?
She bounced that belt on my behind. And I don't think I got a whooping, but I got in trouble. And she kind of told me. So fast forward to when I'm 19 in basic training. It was literally high school graduates who thought if you had checks, you had money. I couldn't make this up if I tried. I'm like, no, you write the number down, and then when that gets to zero, you don't have no more.
Right.
So I just think that you learn these things from who you're around. And if schools, you know, can't do it, there's other opportunities, right? Because it's difficult to teach everything a kid should know from K to 12. It's so many topics, right? But financial literacy and getting out here and teaching them, you know, you can follow your passion, because a lot of kids, they're creative. It's website development, marketing, all kinds of social media, whatever, right? And these are careers where you could necessarily use your portfolio that you've been creating since you were 12 or 13.
Yeah.
You don't even need a degree, you know?
Yeah.
But you can't, you have to, you don't want to put the cart before the horse, you know? And sometimes your parents don't want you still in their house at 25, 30, 35 following your passion, right? They like, get a job.
Well, it's about time
so
to get on out.
it's like, for us, I think our age group, it was a perfect balance. We watched our parents, you know, we watched generation, the baby boomers, keep those 20-year, 30-year jobs, have a nice retirement, buy that Cadillac. I don't know why I'm promoting Cadillac, but
it's a nice car.
It's a nice brand. You know, but then here comes this merging of, right, the Generation X, Generation Z, and it's like, okay, we have this thing, this phone that you could do all kinds of stuff on, right? That it does, so these jobs are there now where it's like, okay, I can go and get this 9 to 5 or, you know, this career path, but I can also start working on my fashion label.
Yep.
I can also start working on my own online newspaper, and so on and so forth. You know, you have so many companies that sell different things. So if you're a creative artist, I know a student, she's a great artist, and she's on some website where she doesn't get paid in dollars, but it's some type of points to buy other people's art. And so, you know, thinking back to money being a tool, I would ask people, okay, here's 2 tools and I want you to tell me how you use them, okay? What do you use a pencil for?
To write.
What do you use a hammer for?
To nail.
Okay. So if I said, no, man, you gotta use a pencil to kill somebody. That's what you use a pencil for. You might think I was crazy. No, that's not. So money is a tool.
Yes.
Right? You wouldn't just take your money and cut it up. Right? You wouldn't do the bad thing with the money. You wouldn't. So why we throw money away sometimes at things thinking that might appease our ego or whatever it is that's inside of us, when you can take that money and invest it. You know, and that investment could be local business. You give to the Boys and Girls Club. You put on a party for the kids in your neighborhood. Like, those are all investments, right? Investment doesn't just mean I'm going to get something as far as money on the other side of this, but you're investing your money into someone else, something that's bigger than you.
And you're investing in resources that can potentially help you in the community down the line.
Yeah, I mean, because if the community improves, right? Let's say there's no park in your community, whatever, and you're tired of waiting on whoever's supposed to build this park, and you literally get with the families around and you build this park for the kids in the neighborhood. You've taken your money, but and they're going to remember that, right? And then that's something that they can give back. And then if you're improving the community's overall look and value, then your house value goes up. So it's not just let me put money in the stocks or mutual funds or just my retirement account. It's also about contributing to a greater good, because then it comes back to you.
And also, back to other streams of income, there's different things, and a couple of things that come to mind is that, one thing is I believe everybody should write a book. Everybody may not be writers, but some people who have a story to tell or something, you can write a book and it's on forever. You can always have that to sell. You can there's companies that hire part-time that you can do online, for other streams of income. There's tons of things that once you do your research, you can find multiple ways.
Yeah.
Real estate is one thing. So passion projects are certain things you can invest in. So and you can invest in someone else. Someone else that's building something. So you may have friends that are starting businesses that you can help them get started and have a piece of that. That's investing. So there's different ways that you can put your money to use as a tool to bring you more income.
Yeah, I think that you mentioned a book, right? And I think everybody has a story to tell. Your life is like nobody else's life, because there's no one else but you, right?
Exactly.
So the things that you might find minute or unimportant or like, oh, it just happened, could be life-changing for someone else. I always encourage people to write their story, write a book, and I just recently saw, I think it was a post on Instagram, I have to check it out, I bookmarked it, 30 ways to make money off of a book. Because most people say, oh, you write a book, and you sell it, you might do some signings, that's 2, whatever, but I got to look at these 30 ways,
Yeah, I need to look into something of that.
So writing that book could transform to where you're not having to work for someone.
Yeah.
I never want to, I don't want it to seem like I'm speaking ill against working, in a traditional field or a traditional career, but this is for the people who are itching, who's sitting in their car in the parking lot.
Exactly.
Because they're tired.
Yeah.
And they feel like I'm doing this and I'm making money, but I don't have time. I don't have, I can buy things, but I don't like the work I do anymore. It's not challenging. I'm being micromanaged. Whatever the case may be, and you're like, man, I really enjoy making, feathered hats.
And that's
whatever.
And that's a really good point, though, because you can have a job that help with your insurance or help with, big income, but if you have something that you're focused on outside of work, going to work, you can overlook some of the things because you have other things going on.
Yeah.
So you're distracted by things you're working on, and you're not focusing on the little things or some things that irritates you about your job. And you can look at it as a job, but that's not your only thing.
Yeah.
So when you're planting seeds in other areas, and you watering those seeds, you're not just putting all your seeds in one bucket. You have multiple buckets that you're planting, and that way it can help your mindset. It can help with some of the personal items and different things that people go through. But I think that's a big point. If you're investing in different areas, and it's okay to have a job, and there's nothing wrong with having a job.
Oh, no, not at all. It starts somewhere. This is just, okay, kids, you can make money. Somebody could tell you, $98,000 a year, $50,000. That's what we're paying you. And you're like, wait, but I just created this thing for the company that, and it might not always be that the company is overlooking you or is bad, juju or whatever. It might just be you want to go out and do your own thing. I personally have never worked less than 2 jobs. Never. If you check it's like, so it's kind of hard for me to work a job.
Yeah.
Shout out to TJ Maxx and Miracle. First 2 jobs, summer that I turned 16, and it's like having your own money provides a level of freedom. But you have to understand how to keep some of that. And another tip is living off of less. So when you get a pay increase your savings. Don't say, oh, I got a pay increase, so I could split it. 60-40, 50 something, but don't just give it all to yourself. You know, if you, I personally don't want to have to work in my 60s, really even in my 50s, where I have to go somewhere every day, Monday through Friday. You know, someone's telling me this isn't my, you know, I don't want to have to do that. So I said, well, if I don't want to have to do that in 20 years, then I need to do something now that's different than what most people are doing, right? It was some survey out, people, 40% of Americans don't have $600 in the bank, something like that. But it was alarming. Yeah. And I said, well, you know, I don't want to work in 20 years, maybe 10. Okay, Mike, that's what I'm talking about.
That's my goal too. My goal
so
is to
what do I
retire
do
soon.
now? So when I make more money, you have to save it. And you know, one thing about saving, you can roll right into, you know, or I can roll right into having that emergency fund, 6-month savings. If anything, this pandemic is teaching people about that. So these coffees and smokes and extra clothes, like, did anybody really buy clothes during the pandemic? And nobody passed out from not buying
You
clothes.
know what's crazy? I've been wanting to go shopping and buy some clothes, but I've been forced to save because I can't go buy.
I went to Kohl's and I was like, buy something. You know, I'm like,
Get you to buy something.
Yeah, I bought something when this first all happened. I don't know if that was my soothing mechanism for like, oh, we better be locked in the house for how long? So, but it's like, just because you make more doesn't mean you have to spend more. Save it for a rainy day. You know, even one thing that I don't say this is a practice of mine, but it happens from time to time. You know, I had an iPhone 7 for a long time. A long time. I mean, the thing just quit working before I got a new phone. So we were at the 10R, 10X, whatever it is. But then I said to myself, what if you just went to a flip phone? But I couldn't operate like that. This world we live in, it's too much. But it's like all this pressure to buy this phone. But even in buying it, I drag my feet on large purchases. Is my point.
Yeah, and
so cell phones, television, like it's like, but
that's a good mindset to have, though. You know, so you know, having that mindset and knowing what your budgets are, knowing that you don't want to go over. It's probably, I'm not sure if you budget or not. I'm sure you probably do, but knowing that these large purchases is going to affect my budget. And if you go on Power 527, there's a free budget, a spreadsheet that helps you calculate everything you need. So like, you know, every start of the month, you know what your bills are, and that's part of budget. It's very simple. Once you know what your bills are, you know how much you have every month. When you start to invest in other things, you start bringing more. Now you know where you can spend more money at.
And shout out to Chase. I just looked at the app update. And they have on there where you spending your money. If it's gas, if it's food, if it's clothes.
That's
I'm
perfect.
like, it was another app out there that you can connect to your bank account, mint.com maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
But Chase is like, no, you don't need to like look right here. And I'm like, oh, I don't think I want to look at this yet.
No, you gotta look at, you gotta mind your bank account.
And so it's like, okay, now I can see, you know, how much fast food and going out and everything like that.
And that is so important, because if you take your last 5-6 months, maybe before the pandemic, and you look at what you spend your money at, fast food, sometimes I be leaving, I drive, and I'm in the morning and I see 30 cars at McDonald's or
Dunkin' Donuts. Yeah.
But if you spend money on getting up a little earlier and make your own breakfast, you're saving money and you're probably eating healthy.
So, yeah, you are, because I bought groceries and I've been cooking a lot more, you know, because we were sheltering in place. And if you're spending, let's just say you spend $10 a day on one meal, which you can do, right? That's $200 a month. But that's just one meal a day. $200 a month is my groceries for the month, just about.
That's a lot of money saved, right?
Lots of money saved, and that's breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And making coffee at home will save you hundreds of dollars, maybe thousands for some. Because some people get it morning and afternoon, you know?
And imagine if you budget every aspect of what you're doing, so you know where your money going and what you're looking for. So if you're planning for gifts, like have a birthday or have a birthday or event savings. So every month you save towards Christmas, you save towards those things. That way you're not at the end waiting to do that or putting on credit cards. So you're budgeting for certain things you're going to do every year. If you know that you're going to do certain things annually or monthly, whatever, you budget for those things. It's easier to make purchases for clothes you want, because you know you already have a budget for it and your bills are already paid. and your investments are already put in, and your savings are there. Now you know, okay, I got some, you know. And if you do all of that, and you only have a few $100s left, that's where you know you need to start going to budgeting. If you really want to get started on change your finances, really looking at your debt and start eliminating your debt. So don't go out and buying new stuff without paying your debt down first. When you pay your debt down first, then you can start to see some cushion and start doing some other things.
Yeah, I think, you know, looking at what debt you have, whether that's college loans, credit card debt, furniture, you know, it's almost like the other thing too is don't keep these things a secret from your kids. Like this, I made this mistake with my money. I want you to do better, right? But paying that debt off frees you up to do a lot of other things like start investing, right? And that flips it from being debt to being profit. And I want to equip students with the knowledge, and then once again, that's a tool as well. They can take it and use it, or they cannot use it. And I told all the students that I had in another program out in Country Club Hills, the name of the school is St. John's Lutheran School. I told them, for your birthday this year, ask your parents to buy you a stock in the company. I said, you can ask them for some other stuff, but that's the number one thing you want. And I said, in 20 years, find me and thank me, okay? Because it's going to get the ball, well, hopefully it will get the ball rolling. And the parents might say, well, stop, what? You know, maybe the parents don't know, you know? Whatever the case may be, it's like dropping these seeds of knowledge about how money can work for you. Never going to forget this. When I was in junior high, I paid for lunch, right? Lunch was like $7 a week. But if you push the garbage cans to get the trash when lunch was over, you know, from everybody sitting around, you didn't have to pay for lunch. So instead of using my allowance, which I don't know why I didn't get lunch money and an allowance, but it's cool, you know. But I'm like, what am I gonna do with $3? But no, so I just like, okay, so I can keep this money in my pocket. And you know, back in the day, I feel like we all wanted one. So if I kept that $10, my mom would give us money every now and then. Had all these ones, you know, you felt rich, right?
Yeah.
But it was like, I think that taught me about budgeting. But it didn't teach me so much about how to make income, right? So I feel like we are kind of trained to grow up, go to school, get a job, maybe have a family, work, save, retire, right? And there's nothing wrong with that model, but the world we live in and the students that we're raising, the kids that are being raised now, they're so fast paced that they're not staying somewhere for 20 years. Retirement benefits are not the same as they used to be, and having multiple streams of income is like the thing now, right?
Exactly.
And not that entrepreneurship is for everyone, not that everyone needs 5 jobs, but teaching kids that you can take a talent, you can take your own passion, you can take your own gift and monetize it, right? And so this brings me to learning about income, knowing that debt is not always bad, but that debt that we talk about, you know, where does that learned behavior come from? And how do you break it? Well, that's one of the services I'm trying to provide with people. Poor, middle class, rich, all make money mistakes.
Yes.
Okay?
Now we support each other over the years, and we're gonna continue to support each other because financial literacy is something that we're really passionate about. We really want to spread the word, especially in our community. So is there anything that you got planned on, or there's some goals moving forward?
So some goals moving forward would be to kickstart off, you know, the school year with the Money Makers Club at, you know, various schools, whether it's online or in person, depending on, you know, what our situation is because of COVID-19. But to continue to recruit those 3rd through 8th grade students when they're still at that point where it's like, oh, I didn't know this yet, but now I have this tool in my pocket at 10 versus getting it at 25 or 30 or after, you know, some type of financial mistake. So the goal is to continue the program and grow the program into multiple schools. So people can make sure they follow us on Facebook at After the Peanut, and more information is always on our updated website, afterthepeanut.com. Just looking forward to like transitioning and changing this landscape when it comes to money and people's understanding of it, so that we don't have the next generations going into debt that can be avoided because they've been taught, you know, this set of skills.
Absolutely. No, we also like to support leaders like yourself. We're leaders, and we need to lead this change in adopting new behaviors and mentalities of what success looks like, and we'll continue to do that. So
Yeah. Success looks like us. So I mean,
success looks like us. All right.
all right.